So the next EGM issue that I picked up from the newsstand was this 1991 video game buyer's guide. I didn't know it was from EGM exactly, but it said 16-bit Nintendo, Super Mario 4. It has an awesome game cover shot of Street Fighter 2010. And, well, again, it was $4.95 in Canada. It says display until January 1, 1991. So, you know, you might be thinking this is from late 1991, but I think it's from October 1990. I think it's officially counted as issue number 15, so right after issue 14. But here's where EGM kind of got their reputation for having their, you know, best and worst of the year. And I kind of disagree with a few of their choices, but, well, let's all discuss it in the comments below. Lakers versus Celtics on the Genesis, the EA game. Sorry, these pages are kind of, well, this magazine's pretty old. But anyway, so here they have an artist rendition of the Sega Genesis CD, as they call it, the Mega CD. It's kind of a waxy looking artist's rendering. Anyway, so but yeah, this issue they have their best of worst of the year. Also their systems buyer's guide, as well as reviews in the back of some good games that take up a whole page. So it's kind of a new format, which I wish they would have kept it every year, but oh well. Sonic Spike on the TurboGrafx. IGS is really trying to advertise stuff, but this game unfortunately is not that great. Okay, definitely 1990 may have been the hottest year ever for electronic gaming, if not 1989. You know, the TurboGrafx 16 and Genesis had come out. The games were getting much better for the TurboGrafx and Genesis. Gameboy games were getting better. Nintendo games were the best they could have been. And soon the Super Nintendo was coming out. Also the Neo Geo. I mean, there's just so much. There's also, you know, the Game Gear, Turbo Express, Lynx 2, Neo Geo, Conix Multi-System. Definitely, it was an exciting time with all these new game systems rumored or coming out. Again, here's an ad for Shadow of the Ninja. You could have gotten a t-shirt. Geez, I never mailed into game companies getting, you know, with all their offers and newsletters. I was stupid. Why didn't I? I should have done that. You could have gotten, you know, some t-shirts or pins or hot gloves or newsletters. That ephemera would have been great to have gotten for free back then. Although sometimes they say, you know, not applicable to residents in Canada, USA only. But yeah, great game, Shadow of the Ninja. Again, just letters sent in by readers. I won't read those. Here's a cool Super Famicom logo. Classic logo. You know, is 16-bit Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out? Well, no, not the arcade game as such. But Turtles in Time would come out a bit later. Here's Dr. Chaos on the NES. This game was apparently based off of House, the horror comedy movie, in a very unrelated, indirect way. But it is a similar kind of theme with similar looking monsters and enemies. It takes a lot of mapping of the doors and rooms because it has a 3D perspective as well. But it's kind of a cool game. Yeah, and again, you could have gotten a t-shirt. So again, well, just Tokai's same ad as before. So, well, EGM rated Strider for the Genesis the best game of the year, which was kind of controversial. One, because Strider was unavailable in the USA, at least by the time of judging. So EGM was judging off of promises from Sega and using the Japanese cartridge. So some readers thought that was unfair. And also, I mean, this is an amazing conversion, but you can get through it if you're skilled in like 25 minutes. Super Mario Bros. 3 came out in early 1990. And I think that was the video game of the year. It was the best-selling NES game of all time. It had a great game life and so many secrets. I think EGM got sold on the sizzle and not the steak. Here's a cool Godzilla ad. This is a good game. If you have not played Godzilla, because there's actually 2 of them on the Game Boy. If you have not played this side-scrolling puzzle action game Godzilla on the Game Boy, please do. It's pretty cool. And there's also this game, Gojira-kun, on the MSX1 computer. So look for that too. So, best game of the year is Sega Strider. It has crisp graphics, explosive graphics, and crisp detail. It's a stunning conversion of the arcade game, which is true, and it has somewhat better music than the arcade, I think. It must be noted that while this soft has been evaluated while in EPROM form, we believe Strider presently is of such high quality that it deserves this unique honor of being the best of the year. As soon as the final ROM is available, we will report any changes, etc., etc. Best game of the year for Nintendo was Castlevania 3. Yeah, that's a good game. Okay. I still think Super Mario 3 is better, but definitely Castlevania 3 is amazing. Best game of the year for the TurboGrafx is NEC's Ninja Spirit. Well, again, Ninja Spirit is awesome, but it's also kind of a short and shallow game, being an arcade conversion. But it does have intensity, as they say. I'm not sure what I would say the TurboGrafx's game of the year would be. I might say Superstar Soldier or possibly Bonk's Adventure. I like Newtopia. Well, you guys can tell me what you like. Best handheld game is Atari's Blue Lightning. Okay, sure. I would say Chips Challenge, but that's not a 1990 game, maybe. Best graphics, Sega Strider. Yeah, okay. Best BGM and sound in video game is NEC's CD-ROM game, Ys Book 1 and 2. Yeah, it's a CD masterpiece. It has full CD audio. It has great music, composed by Yuzo Koshiro. So how could it not win? And here they judged the best video game system overall and Sega's Genesis. Well, okay, maybe it's the most promising video game system. I would agree. But I don't know. The NES still had a lot of life left in it. Or at least the NES had a good back catalog. Best new system of the year was NEC's Turbo Express. Sure, yeah, that has a great crisp TFT screen, LCD screen. It was much superior to the Game Boy or the Game Gear. Most challenging game of the year, Phantasy Star 2. Okay. Best sports themed game, Sega's Super Monaco Grand Prix. Yeah, in another issue, they gave Monaco Grand Prix on the Genesis 10 points out of 10, which they promised they never would do. Or they claimed never to do. Anyway, best sequel would be Mega Man 3. Okay, alright. Ninja Gaiden 2 is also great, and that came out in 1990. Most exciting new theme is NEC's Bonk's Adventure. Sure, they took a conventional side-scrolling action theme and improved upon it by concentrating on technique as well as good looks. Bonk's attack mechanism was unique and went with the game perfectly, producing an all-new type of video game adventure. Well, it's not totally new, but yeah, you jump on enemies by using your head. You have to bonk them. And Bonk's Adventure actually is a fun, if you might even say relaxing kind of game. You get into a good groove. Best RPG would be NEC's Books 1 and 2. Okay. And here, the best peripheral of the year is the Game Genie, which I agree. I'll read here. The Game Genie is the ultimate Nintendo peripheral, allowing you to alter the game to your own specifications. The Game Genie may never go on the market thanks to Nintendo's legal twists and turns, but despite that fact, we stand behind the Genie as a device that should be seen by a game-playing public that wants the freedom of choice. When you buy a car, does the dealer have the right to tell you what kind of tires to buy, or what color to repaint the vehicle down the road? Spelling mistake. Wise up, Nintendo. You're not protect us, you're protecting yourselves. Grammar mistake. So, yeah, I agree. Most magazines were against Nintendo's choice to try to sue Galoob to prevent them from releasing the Game Genie. And yeah, that's what they're calling out here. In 1990 and 1991, everybody was on Nintendo's case for trying to sue everybody. And yeah, it very much was true. Nintendo was very litigious back then. And now. So yeah, the Game Genie was awesome. I have memories of going in 1991 and buying this with my Christmas money, because it was available in Canada before the USA. Okay, this is interesting. Here's where they do the worsts. Okay, worst propaganda of the year, NEC's Turbo versus Genesis card. So I guess apparently NEC released a kind of propaganda pamphlet, a little card saying, oh, the TurboGrafx gives you their system speed in megahertz, but then when they compare it to the Genesis, they give it in MIPS, millions of instructions per second. So that's, trying to do apples and oranges comparisons here. Best license of the year is Acclaim's The Simpsons, which is a crap game, but a good choice, they say. They landed a good license. Worst license is Sega's Buster Douglas Boxing, because Evander Holyfield took away his title right away as soon as the game was released, I think. Gremlins 2 on the NES was a good best movie to game conversion, and yeah, Sunsoft cannot lose. Best ending is Ninja Gaiden 2. Worst ending in a game is Sega's Revenge of Shinobi. It spoiled an excellent game packed full of great gameplay and graphics by giving us 2 endings that were both wimpy. Okay. Most promising game companies in the future are Natsume, Sega, Capcom, Konami, and Nintendo. Yep, definitely. Most lawsuits, Nintendo. There were a lot of specific choices, but we went with only one, Nintendo, because they sue everyone. Worst movie to game, Acclaim, Total Recall. You win some and you lose some. With Total Recall, we all lost. Here they have worst name for a game, so yeah, they're name-shaming EGM. It's a tie between Meldak's Heiankyo Alien on the Game Boy and Vic Tokai's Daedalian Opus on the Game Boy. Come on, companies! Can you honestly see a kid proclaiming to his friends with any degree of excitement that he beat Heiankyo Alien? Jeremy Parrish? I can't even pronounce it. Pronounce it. Come on, guys, with the spell checkers. Come on, I can't even pronounce it. Worst name for a good game, Hudson's Adventures of Jackie Chan. And actually, the release version was not named this. It was Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu. So, pox to you, EGM. Yeah, it's a great game, but they should have named it Ninja Lords or something. Anyway, I guess the deadline for best and worst was September 1st, because that's the magazine's lead time. And so, yeah, the decision of the judges is final. Here's Culture Brain. They don't have any really contorted English expressions this time. Baseball Simulator 1.000 or 1000, and Magic of Scheherazade. I couldn't even pronounce Scheherazade when I was a kid. More gaming gossip. Not much to say here. Here's Ultima Quest of the Avatar. I always thought this game had great graphics. Really nice. But, again, turn-based role-playing games is not my cup of tea. So here's a picture copied from a Japanese video game magazine. And they don't even give it credit. Anyway, Sega announces, I guess they announced at the Toy Show, that their CD-ROM would come in spring 1991. And it would come out in Japan. I think it came out in summer or fall in 1991 in Japan. Anyway, EGM is speculating on what kind of games could come out, but not really. Not accurately, anyway. Woo, okay. Now this blew my mind. A picture of Nintendo's 16-bit Super Famicom. It just looked amazing. The controller looked amazing. The cartridge looked awesome. This light gray and dark gray color scheme. Rounded rectangles for buttons. Their logo, that font. Oh my god. My little 13-year-old mind was blown. And so here they just have some of the details that Nintendo finally released about the Super Famicom. An interesting low-res scan of this photograph, and Super Mario Brothers 4, Super Mario World, with a little bit pre-release screenshots of this game. And they just go on to the changes that this pre-release version of the Super Famicom has over last year's preview that they showed. And the RAM went up to a full megabit, I think. Yeah. The controller changed a little bit. This 16-bitter can do scaling, rotation, shrinking, stretching, warping. It can have a maximum of 512 by 448 pixel resolution, which is true, and a total palette of 32,768 colors, and 64 by 64 pixel sprites, and 128 of them, and an expansion port on the back. It can do other video outputs, not just composite or RF, but also RGB and Super VHS, as they call it, or Super Video, S-Video, it's called, via a 28-pin by the multi-out connector on the back. It's coming out November 21st, 1990, for a price of 25,000 yen, so about $180 US. And they're predicting that it'll come out in spring or summer of 1991. Yep, go on sale in the fall, and that was accurate. That's what most magazines thought. So again, just about 8 months earlier, we saw Super Mario Bros. 3 come out on the NES, and already we have amazing screenshots of a 16-bit Mario. What I would have done to have gotten this game back then. For about 1 year, I was dreaming Super Famicom, as I'm sure maybe some of you were. Of course, I had a normal life, and I tried my best at chasing girls in junior high school, as well as making new friends and playing 8-bit Nintendo with them. But, in the back of my mind, I was also pining for this thing. Some nice nostalgic screenshots, photos of the Tokyo Toy Show. The Shoshinkai Show. This is Nintendo's Shoshinkai Show with Konami US president. Here's Howard Phillips showing off the Super Famicom. He was lucky to have that job back then, I tell you. So here's the previewed games. Final Fight, 1 player all the way, no guy. They don't mention that, but okay. It says 1-on-1 or 2-player combo combat, but no, EGM, you were wrong. Gradius 3, R-Type 2, Goodlin, or Gedulin, as however it's pronounced. Populous, Super Darius, or Darius Twin, I think it's called. SD, The Great Battle. Pilot Wings looked awesome. F-Zero also looked awesome. Act Laser, or Actoreza, was by Enix, so they also mentioned that it's by Dragon Quest series originators. That looked amazing. Big Run looked like shit. It looked worse than Outrun. So yeah, that's Delico. SimCity, Dynamite Bamboozle, Ultraman, Hole-in-One Golf, and Draken also were previewed at this time. Okay. And so this is also pretty cool. Although it's filled with technical errors, EGM rated each system that was available at the time, and talking about their good software and their strong points and weak points. So the NES, I think that's still one of the best game systems ever. It is aging, it's showing signs of aging for sure, but it still has a great library and some life left, thanks to MMC3 enhanced games. Well, there are reports of handheld Nintendos and CD-ROM peripherals. Those are both true, but they were unofficial third-party developers that were making portable Famiclones or CD-ROM attachment. And so they talk about the specs of the NES, and yeah, it's mostly true. I don't think it's 1.8 or 9 megahertz actually speed. Not 16 colors on screen. It's about 24 or so colors on screen. 8x8 only? No, 8x16 sprite size, and lots of games. Price is pretty cheap. Sega Master System 2. This is the RF only version of the Sega Master System. Now, why would you shoot your already dying system in the foot even more? I mean, geez. Okay. Just a few of the games that are coming out in like the second wave to try to sell this Sega Master System. EGM was complaining that they are utter duds. They are it's just too little too late, and it's nice to see conversions of, Moonwalker or Monaco Grand Prix or Columns, but a lot of other ones are just absolute crap. That's what EGM thought, and yeah. All right, so the system specs look accurate. It's a Z80 at 3.58 megahertz. Resolution, yeah, okay, it's 256 by maybe 226. 192. 192. That's wrong. So only 64 colors are available on the Sega Master System. That's BS. And about 32 colors on screen, not 52. 64 sprites on screen. So EGM got some of their specs. They copied them verbatim from Japanese magazines, and they also got some of their data wrong, some of their stats wrong. So Sega Genesis, well, of course, that's cool. Prototype screenshot of Shadow Dancer, and here's Sonic and Strider, as they wrote. So I guess early on in the life, the Genesis had a really lackluster release schedule, and that was definitely true. And that's what they're criticizing the Genesis about here. But, you know, it would really pick up steam in 1990 and 91. Not much to say about this system and the specs here. The TurboGrafx. Yeah, it finally makes an impact in the market, as they say, because it has an expanding library of titles, but it's still not quite enough. The Turbo is not out of contention, but realistically it still has quite a way to go before dethroning the competition, they wrote here. Bonk's Adventure is responsible for putting the Turbo back on the map. Yeah, maybe that's true. Splatterhouse also helped out in the Turbo's favor. Red Alert. It's unlike anything you've ever seen or heard because it has terrible voice acting. It doesn't have an 8-bit microprocessor, but the resolution is wrong. It's not 216 pixels. It has lots of colors on screen, but not 241. It's 482 or so. 64 sprites, and yeah, okay. Here's the Game Boy. Yeah, my feeling was kind of similar to EGM's. In 1990, I was feeling that the black and white Game Boy was feeling kind of lackluster. And I just wished for a color screen or a better screen. And that's what they're saying here. Weirdly enough, they're saying that the Game Boy uses a 6502 processor. It doesn't. It does not have a resolution of 320 by 224. These guys are smoking crack. It does have 0 colors available and 4 shades on screen. It does have maximum sprites. It has about 40 of them, I think. And the sprite size is not variable. It's 8 by 8, so they just pulled these numbers out of their asses. The Lynx is pretty awesome. It does have a 65CO2. I don't think it's 15 megahertz. It doesn't exactly have sprites per se, so it doesn't have a maximum. It has a frame buffer. But yeah, they're saying the Lynx has the most advanced handheld system. Its capabilities surpass even like the Genesis with its scaling abilities, but it just needs games, and all it has are some good Williams or Atari arcade conversions, but not enough that, you know, people are used to coming from Japanese game companies. Here's the Turbo Express. It definitely has the punch that NEC needs. It's just super expensive, and it burns through 6 AA batteries in under 3 hours. And in late 1990, it was only available, I think, in Los Angeles and New York. Yep, they say that right here. Limited supplies this Christmas in New York and Los Angeles, and the rest of the USA would get it at a higher price even, I think. Here's the Super Graphics. NEC tries for a second time with another 8-bit game system, but with great looks. Battle Ace is pretty lackluster, but Ghouls and Ghosts is definitely a system seller. That's probably what finally sold the Super Graphics, at least to Japanese gamers. It does not have a resolution of 160 by 146. That's similar to what the Game Boy has, actually. It does not have 4,096 colors available. It's only 512. So, and not 128 colors on screen. So, yeah, these stats here should have asterisks next to all of them. All right, the Neo Geo Home System. It was $400 in Japan when it came out, and games only 8 available at this time for $200 to $300. Yeah, this was definitely Rolls-Royce of game systems. Here's the Game Gear. People were kind of expecting or hoping to have a 16-bit handheld system from Sega, but no, they kind of took a step back to Sega 8-bit, and it's similar to Sega's Master System. Here they say, since the machine does not boast any special features like scaling or rotation, it is questionable as to how popular the system will become in Japan or America if it is ever released. Most people like to experience new and better thrills. The Game Gear, while very attractive, is quite honestly a step backwards from the Genesis. However, it will put Sega on the handheld map. I think the colors on the Game Gear and the capabilities is actually really great. The fact that it's in color is fantastic, but the really terrible screen quality, despite it being in color, and the battery lifetime for this handheld was what killed it. Oh yeah, and also games. Alright, so here is how they rated the systems available. Sushi X gave the NES a 10 out of 10 because it's the greatest unit ever invented. The Master System got about half that. The Genesis also got 10, and so this got the highest rating. Sega has come close to the bullseye with this one. The Turbo is a bit lower down because it lacks game software, and the great games are on CD, but that CD attachment costs $400 all by itself. Last year, the Game Boy probably got really high ratings, but this year it's a combination of 3s, 5s, and 6s, so yeah. Conceived as a joke on the intelligence of mankind, this soon-to-be extinct contraption is strictly too difficult and painful to play. 20/20 vision and optimum lighting are necessary for a good time. Sorry. So this is their opinion of the Game Boy at this time. Yeah, they kind of missed their mark on saying it would be extinct soon, but I guess thanks to Tetris and then later Pokemon, Nintendo knew what they had. The Lynx got 6s and 7s. It's good, but it lacks games. Turbo Express is great, even higher ratings than the TurboGrafx. Super Graphics, here the sound is strictly turbo, so its weak point is the lame sound chip, lame music chip. Okay, maybe that's a little bit true. They were hoping for something more boomy, with like an FM sound chip. Yeah, maybe me too. Neo Geo got high ratings, but, you know, why spend $250 on a game you can beat at the arcade for $5? So it's great for an audience of fans with the large pocketbooks. And the Game Gear got 6s and 4, so not quite great. So kind of lackluster this year. All right, and so here we're in the cheats and also another Super Glove Ball ad. Still no screenshots. So passwords for Castlevania 3 and Mega Man 3. Another small half-page SCI ad. The Game Train with hand-drawn fax machine graphics. So here is one-page ads of, or not ads, sorry, one-page reviews of some of the best games on each system, as well as, you know, explanation and also their opinions. So Castlevania 3 got a really high score. This is a must. Street Fighter 2010 is actually, you know, this maybe a new release at this time, coming out in October. And so, yeah, this is really tricky to control. And it's a really hard game, but everything else about it is awesome. Awesome graphics, great music. The name is Street Fighter 2010, The Final Fight, and it really doesn't bear any resemblance to Street Fighter or Final Fight, and that's what they're saying here. It bears no resemblance to the recent coin-op introduction. The game is difficult to learn, but once you get it down, 2010 is a great ride. All right. Yeah, it is a great game that plays hard and fast, and that's not found in a lot of the new NES games. So they like that. Yeah, and I guess it's Capcom's answer to Ninja Gaiden, they said. And of course, yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, came out on the NES. That's like the first American 4 megabit game. And it got great reviews because it's a fun action game and it's 2-player. And here's Gremlins 2, also coming out in October of 1990. I like this game a lot, although it's, you know, it wears out its welcome after a little while, but it's still pretty cool. Yeah, great cinema displays, graphics and sound, challenging gameplay. Yeah, I guess this game is kind of getting forgotten over time in the pantheon of NES games, but people should check it out again. Shadow of the Ninja, I don't think that's been forgotten. Even though it's using an MMC1 mapper, which is a little bit less advanced than the MMC3, Natsume still got some great graphics and background animation out of this one. And so yeah, it's a tremendous first effort from Natsume, even though they'd been developing games for other companies for a couple of years now. But yeah, it's a Ninja Gaiden, great Ninja Gaiden style 2-player action game. At this time around winter, I remember this Caveman Games ad with the wife throw, the mate toss, and the clubbing competition. It didn't appeal to me at all, but the ad was kind of funny. And here's the review for Mega Man 3. Just great graphics, new enemies. They said the same thing. This ad was kind of interesting. It's for something weird. It's for something called the Game Watch newsletter. And obviously they're getting news out of Taiwan and Hong Kong. But is it only a newsletter? I should have subscribed to this when I had the chance. So you've heard about 50 to 100 games in one cartridge. Now learn all the details. Game Watch newsletter is the source for the latest underground news on Nintendo, *, and other games and accessories. It is a unique news source that pulls no punches and gives the latest gossip and news that cannot be found anywhere else. Learn how to buy new games before official release, below retail, and even wholesale prices. So I guess through Hong Kong. Find out about overseas, probably Hong Kong, sources for games in the Orient and elsewhere. See how some people are paying as little as $2 to $4 per game. Yeah, in a multi-cart from Hong Kong. Games like Tetris 2, Super Mario Invisible Fancy. What's that? Star Soldier, Devil World, Goonies, Ninja Adventure, and many more. I think these are all early Famicom games on a multi-cart. But you don't just get a magazine, you get a 75-minute videotape showing and describing many of the above games in actual action. Multiple game cartridges and more is also available for free when a 2-year bi-monthly subscription to the Game Watch newsletter is purchased. So you get a newsletter and a videotape for these odd games from the Orient. VHS only, or now by calling, so whoa, $16.50 just to call, not even to subscribe. You can buy a sample subscription for 6 months without the tape by calling there, and it's $5 per call. Okay, they were automatically added to the phone bill from the phone from which the call is made. Yep, get a money order ready. So yeah, this is interesting. I wish I could have known more about this, and this is something that's kind of lost to the mists of time. What was this newsletter really like? What was that VHS tape like? What were they really trying to do with this? Were they just trying to talk about things that are happening in Japan and in the Orient? Or are they really just trying to use this as a conduit for multi-cart sales or other bootleg Famicom cartridges? I wish I could have known back then. Just what is Super Mario Invisible Fancy anyway? Weird, huh? All right, and so here's Flying Warriors. This is the second one, I think, in the game. And Hideo no Ken 3 would already be coming out in Japan, so this is one sequel behind. And it's got kind of average sales. It is a platformer, but also a kung fu game, but it has a little bit too much technique involved. It's a little bit too involved. Some people might like that. It's not just a dumb, kung fu game like Kung Fu or, Black Belt. FCI has their hotline for people who just really want to know how to get higher scores in Lunar Pool, I suppose. Here we go again. Genesis does add. This is eSWAT. Both the arcade game and the Genesis game are so-so. They're kind of like pale imitations of Revenge of Shinobi. Yeah, that's what I think. So here's Sword of Vermilion. The best thing about this game is the music, by far. You've seen this already. So here's Fire Shark. That's Same 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 in Japan. And yeah, a little bit easy, they said, but it's an awesome game. And I think it has 99 levels, so it just loops and loops and loops, and you have to go through 99 levels to get some kind of ending. So cool game. And here and here it says sample written in Japanese, so I think they just lifted these screenshots from Japanese magazines. Or maybe they have a sample cartridge that just flashes a sample all the time. And so they're just doing shooters. In Sector X, not bad, but I don't actually like the Genesis version so much. Philios, I didn't like the Genesis version much either, but it is cool. It does have a great atmosphere. And so here's third-party licensees for the Genesis. Atomic Robokid, Bimini Run, Whip Rush, Crossfire. That was Airwolf, seen in the last issue. Curse, which is not a great game. DJ Boy, etc., yada yada. Mondu's Fight Palace, also released as Slaughter Sport. Populous, Super Volleyball, that's a good game. Target Earth, considered too difficult. Techno Cop, controversial, blood splattering, and Junction. I think originally by Konami, but licensed to Micronet. And so here's the TurboGrafx, short TurboGrafx section. They gave full 10 points to Ys Book 1 and 2. It just has voices and music and fantastic animated intermissions on CD. So it's just a perfect action role-playing game. Again, Ninja Spirit gets a 10. I guess Sushi X just liked this. And then again, here's Legendary Axe 2 with this background art ripped from the magazine ad in Japan. And yeah, it's all right. It's not the same as Axe 2. The atmosphere is different. They didn't like that change. I liked that change. And here we're getting to the end. This is a summary of all the games they'd reviewed up to that point in the past 15 issues. So that's pretty handy. You can check which games got high ratings for all the systems, and then Batman gets the high score challenge. Oh, and it's also got the game over screen too. So here's the ending to Batman on the NES. Another links ad, and actually that's it. So this is a little bit of a thin issue, and I think that's why I did not want to pay $4.95 Canadian for a magazine like this, because it was just so thin compared to video games and computer entertainment at the same time. But EGM at the time offered something that we could probably not get anywhere else. Tons of screenshots of Japanese games and actual screen captures with high quality video captures of games. So not only that, their attitude was kind of fun. They appeared to not pull any punches. So I salute you, EGM of 1990. Thank you guys. You made my life a little bit different and a lot of fun too. So guys, I hope you enjoyed my read through of this magazine. Once I catch my breath, maybe I'll put out another video for the tail end of 1990, when I was trapped in a small wooden house on Bowen Island with no power, no TV, no video games, no heating, no road access, cabin fever, and only NES Simpsons to while our hours away. So that's what I'll get to next time. So guys, I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If you're watching this video at another time, then ignore that statement. Just enjoy your life and look to some old games for some fun. See you later.